Good afternoon, Ed here from Crystal Clear Aquatics. And today, one of my favourite types of video, I'm doing another Ponds Revisited. This is a pond that I redesigned and built in 2019, so it's its 5th year now, and it's really established nicely. I'm very lucky that I get to come and service this pond regularly 2 or 3 times a year, and I keep meaning to get the camera out and to do some videoing, and just never get round to it. So it's looking lovely, the sun is shining, I'm local, and it was a good excuse to get the camera out. Let's go and have a look. Let's go around to the back garden. I love this little passage. Look at all this mind your own business growing. All my seasoned viewers will know this is one of my favourite little plants. I love how it grows and creeps over everything. Fantastic in ponds. This is a very unique garden. Completely cobbled, which wouldn't normally be my thing, but I have to say in this situation it's been so well looked after, and the different species and variety of plants in here are fantastic. And here's the pond. So a little bit of history of this pond. There's been a pond here since about the 1970s apparently, and when I first came along to see this pond, it was looking a little bit sorry for itself, a very old sort of preformed plastic shell. There was a great big archway of foliage around here, and the pond area was really a separate part of the garden entirely. And so my brief was to open up that corner of the garden, to design something that was a little bit more in keeping with the rest of the garden, and ultimately more of a feature. And I've been really pleased with the results. The pond is beautifully clear, looking lovely at the moment. I came here to service it a few weeks ago and there was a little bit of blanket weed, so we've treated that, and coming back now most of that's gone, so it's looking so much nicer. Pond's being filtered with an Awaza Filter Clear set. We've got an Awaza Filter Clear 12,000, which is running an 18 watt UV, with an Awaza Eco Classic 5,500 pump, which is submersed in the pond down here. There's a greater flow than what you can see coming down the spill stone. I've also implemented a secondary inlet to the pond, a discrete pipe that you can't see, so we've got some water coming down through the pipe and some water going down through the cascade, and that means that we can just tune the cascade and turn it down just to get the right sound. So the idea here with this was, the garden was already cobbled, so it was trying to bring that aspect of the garden into the pond, and so it made perfect sense to have this nice sort of cobbled beachy area as a natural kind of transition between the pond and the garden. And this acts as a very effective kind of overflow when the pond fills up with too much rain, which inevitably we get here in the UK. It just naturally seeps away and soaks away through the cobbles. All the plants are doing fantastic. This is a really, really nice time of the year to see the pond. The marsh marigolds have just finished. They finished their flowering a few weeks ago. Now the forget-me-nots, the irises are just beginning to flower, and they're all looking their best. Pond season's over very, very quickly, and it's not long before, by kind of July, August time, there's not an awful lot happening in many ponds. So there's a few late flowering plants in here as well. We've got a few Pondaterias and pickerel plants that are going to be flowering kind of August, September, October time, and the water lilies themselves will continue flowering right through until we start to get the first frosts. I love how the plants have naturally kind of run through the beach and through the cobbles here. This lovely Typha minima, and we've got a little juncus grass here as well, has just formed its own runners and grows where it wants to. Later on in the summer, when these miniature reed mace, or miniature bulrush as they're often known, grow their little burrs, it looks very sweet and is perfectly in scale for this size pond. It was a little challenging bringing the very formal kind of brickwork here and blending that in with the more informal kind of natural sides of the pond. I use Purbeck rockery stone here. Some sections I then cut and sort of chopped up to make it look a little bit neater. And obviously doing what I normally do with hand splitting the stone to create kind of a bit more of a mix of shapes and sizes for the walling. There's a few bigger pieces, natural rockery stone pieces as well. I'm not usually a fan of Purbeck, but again, this is in keeping with the garden. There are other areas of the garden which uses Purbeck stone. Initially, it's a very, very sort of white, creamy colour stone, a little bit too bright for my liking, but this has really toned down over the years, subdued nicely, and I think looks lovely in this setting. Let me try and carefully hop around the back of the pond. Now, funnily enough, my favourite aspect of this pond probably isn't the pond itself, it's the planting at the back here. I just really love this corner. It looks so lush. All the different colours and leaf textures and tones of greenery on here really set off and contrasted nicely by that gorgeous red Acer dissectum. I think just looks so lush and lovely. Here we've got a couple of different pittosporums, a nice unanimous. Little Acer popping out through here. I think that's a lovely contrasting colour. And then again, some more evergreen foliage from the vinca, a bit of ground cover that will just creep over and soften all of the stonework and the cascade. And I think this all works beautifully with each other. Very, very nice. Over the years, the plants have slowly started to cascade down over the walling, and lots of this kind of thing has just self-seeded and is growing in amongst the cracks and nooks and crannies. Of course, I had to pick up some of that mind your own business and plant this around the edge of the pond, and that's doing very well here in the shady, damp zones, and just helps to keep all the stonework look nice and natural. As often happens, nature has had a great helping hand in this pond and helping to make it look as established and attractive as it is. And things like, for example, here we've got the aquatic water forget-me-not, Myosotis palustris. And next to it we've got just a standard sort of terrestrial garden forget-me-not growing. So you can see the difference in the flower size here. The aquatic forget-me-not has got a much larger flower. And there's a lot of similarities, but they are quite different. Very nice. This is a really important plant to have as a native plant in ponds in the UK. Newts particularly like to use the leaves of water forget-me-not, and they will lay their little individual eggs at the leaves at the surface of the water or just below, and then very carefully fold the leaf over and seal it. So an important plant to have for our native amphibians. Well, I don't think I need to say too much about this really. I think I'll let the camera do all the work, and we'll just enjoy the image of the pond. But for now, I'm Ed from Crystal Clear Aquatics. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next pond, which will be in a few weeks' time. I'm going to start my first construction job very soon, so it won't be long before you start seeing a few more construction videos coming along on my channel. For now, thank you very much. See you later.